Are you thinking about retiring and moving overseas? Are you unsure how to retire, when to retire, to move overseas? In this video, I will show you how I managed to retire at 60 years of age in Australia and move to Thailand. I'll also show you some tips on how I did it. If I can do it, anybody can. At the end of the video, I'll give you some of my mistakes and let you know about some of the things that I would do differently. G'day, I'm Grub and welcome to my channel, An Aussie in Isan. So, when do you retire? We're all different. I've been planning this for a very, very long time, and in 2025, August of 2025, I turned 60. In Australia, at 60 years of age, you're entitled to super, not your pension, but your super. So my superannuation was okay. I had a unit that I was buying with the bank that I could either sell or rent. I had to choose. Personal possessions, cars, furniture, etc. For more finances for me when I sold. One thing different to me that may be different to other people is I did not retire because I didn't like my job. I loved my job. I was an aircraft maintenance engineer and I was teaching apprentices how to become aircraft maintenance engineer. The fact of the matter is I just did not want to do it anymore. I was done. I wanted to wake up in the morning and do what I wanted to do. In Australia, I couldn't afford to retire. I still had a small mortgage on my unit. It was only small, but I still had a mortgage, and I could see myself working well past the age of 67, which is the pension age in Australia. I would forecast myself I would have had to work till 70 to pay off my unit, which was the only that I had. But that was another 10 years of work, and I just didn't want to do that. There's more to life than work. And you start to realise, I'm sure we all do at different stages, that as we get older, we start to realise that there's more life behind us than in front of us. So my belief is we're here once and we're here for a good time. So you got to get out and live life. So I made the decision at 60 to retire. I informed my company I was working for and my bosses early on for two reasons. So I let them know at about March of 2025 that I'll be finishing up in October. I did that for two reasons. Number one, to give them enough time to try and replace me, or not to try to, but to replace me. But also it committed me to the fact that, right, you're committed now, you're locked in. After October, there's no work. So I was committed. So that's something I felt I needed to do for myself. Once I was committed, then I could start going through the process of what I felt I needed to do to move, to retire. So after making that decision and locking into the decision that I wanted to retire, obviously the lead up to that, the multi-million-dollar question is, how much money do you need to retire? In Australia, the cost of living is absolutely through the roof. So as much as I loved Australia, I'm proud to be an Aussie. It's starting to go downhill from when I was a child, in my opinion. Not going there, but I couldn't afford to retire, like I said, at 60 years of age in Australia. I've been travelling to Southeast Asia, and in particular Thailand, since 2007. So I was familiar with the country, I was familiar with the people, I was familiar with the food, the landscapes, all those sorts of things. So is the question, how much do you need to retire? Or should the question really be, what do I need? How much do I need to be comfortable during retirement? So everybody's level of comfort is different. If you're if you're a foreigner and you're coming to Southeast Asia, I'll use Thailand as an example. But if you're coming to Thailand and you don't like Thai food, you want to eat Western food only, you want to go to the bars and the entertainment every night, you want to go out every night, you want to go do lots of tours and lots of sightseeing and all those sorts of things, well then your monthly allowance, your monthly budget is going to be higher than if you're someone that just doesn't do the bar scene, doesn't go out, or goes out every now and then, doesn't waste a lot of money on alcohol or those sorts of things. So another factor is, where do you live? You can live in some beautiful areas, like coastal areas, Hua Hin, Rayong, Pattaya, Phuket, Bangkok. Obviously your big tourist areas, your Phukets, your Pattayas, Bangkoks are quite expensive, especially if you're sitting there and you're dreaming about, I want to retire, I want to have a nice place right opposite the the beach somewhere in Southeast Asia. That's fine, and that's all well and good. And if you've got the money to do that, there are some beautiful beaches all through Southeast Asia, and there are some in Thailand. I didn't have that sort of budget, so I moved to Isan, which is in northeastern Thailand. I didn't think it'd be the place I would end up, but I chose here because I absolutely love the place. That's in another video down the track. These are things just that you need to consider before you retire. I'm not going to go into this in depth because there are so many videos on YouTube about retiring in the Philippines or Thailand and, you know, Southeast Asia, Malaysia, or in any country really. And they go into in depth about what you need and what you need to do and all those sorts of things. All I'm letting people know is a lot of people that I speak to say to me, oh yeah, but how much do you need? How much money do I need? How much money do I need? And I ask them, well, what's your cost of living? What do you want to do? And they sort of look at me either blank-faced or they're unsure, or it's something they hadn't thought about. To me, that is the main thing you need to think about. What sort of lifestyle do you want to live? Do you want to be comfortable, like I am, very, very comfortable, in rural Thailand, not many Farangs around, which suits me, not many foreigners. I didn't move to Thailand to hang around Aussies or Americans or Poms or blah, blah, blah. I moved to Thailand for the cost of living and the lifestyle. I love waking up in the morning in the country, going out, having a cup of tea in the front yard, looking down the road at the trees and hearing the birds and the two dogs run around the yard. My partner Sarah and I have got this place in Isan that's very, very nice. Like I said before, we'll show you that later. But, you know, there's a lot of variables about where you want to live, how much money you've got, the lifestyle you want. Thailand can be relatively cheap and it can be relatively expensive as well. So it all depends on what you want and the lifestyle you need to live. So when we talk about how much you need to live, I look at it this way. My needs are simple, my wants are expensive. You know, you can come here and you can have the flash car, the motorbike, you know, you can get a boat if you're coastal, all these things. But all these things are wants. You don't need them to retire. So I've chosen to do without a few of those. I thought about getting a swimming pool. I chose not to. I thought about getting a spa. Spa was more expensive than a swimming pool. So again, I chose not to do it. My choice. Not financial reasons, but I just chose that that's not really what I wanted to do. So the next question I get asked is, why Thailand? As I've touched on before, I've been travelling to Thailand since 2007. I love the country. The country is diverse. You've got some spectacular, beautiful beaches. You go north up around Chiang Mai, you've got some beautiful mountainous areas where it gets cool. Not cold, but it gets cool. You've got some gorgeous countryside in between all them. So I love the place. The people, like a lot of people in Southeast Asia, are amazing. They are friendly. They're helpful. They will go out of their way to make you feel comfortable. You can be riding along in the middle of the country and have a flat tire on your motorbike, scooter, and within minutes, someone will rock up. And they'll go away and they'll come back within about 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on where you are. And then all of a sudden, there's this whole group of people around pulling off your wheel, changing your tube, doing all that sort of thing for very, very little money, but just to help you out. And it's bang, you're fixed and you're on your way. You go into town, you go into the villages and you talk to people. Use things like Google Translate. That helps you out. So I can talk into English and that. They hear it in Thai, they speak to Thai, I hear it in English. There's ways nowadays where you can communicate to people. Philippines, a lot of people speak English. Thailand, Bangkok and tourist places, Phuket, Pattaya, Hua Hin, people speak English. Not all of them, but quite a few do. You come to where I am, not many people do. But you don't need to. You don't need people to speak English. Again, I come to Thailand to get away from Aussies and that. That's not what I wanted to do. And people say to me, I'm in the real Thailand. Well, every part of Thailand's real. The bar scene's real. The monks are real. The oceans, the seas are real. The mountains up in Chiang Mai are real. Rural living is real. So it's all real. But I chose Isan because it's just beautiful. It's very, very reasonably priced. The food here is sensational. There's street foods all through the town. It's just amazing. Again, these are videos for later down the track. But yeah, I moved to Thailand because the cost of living compared to Australia is unbelievable. The people are beautiful. The food is amazing. And I've been visiting here since 2007. So I had a very, very good idea what I was getting into before I moved to Thailand. So if you're sitting there and you're unsure about where you want to move, or which part of a country you want to move to, what country you want to move to, I 100% suggest you need to go there and visit. And I'm not talking about go there once for 2 weeks and make your mind up. I'm talking about, if you can and if time allows, go there and spend 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, come away, go there again, hit different seasons. Thailand right now, we're in June right now, beautiful weather. You come in here in 2 months ago in April, it is stinking hot. So just like everywhere, there's goods and there's bads. But you need to choose where you want to live, and it doesn't have to be permanent. That comes to one of my mistakes that I'll touch on more at the end of this video. But if you rent a place or buy a place, then you're only there for that contract. After that contract, if you don't like it, you can move. More on that later. So going back to in Perth, I've given my notice. I'm starting to plan things. You've got to really, really look into visas and what you can do, what you can't do, the type of visa you're going to be on. I think I'm on about my 3rd visa, and I'm still not on the visa that's going to keep me here for 4 months. That's been lodged and it's in the process, but I'm not there yet. So again, there's many, many videos on YouTube about it, but do your research. I got caught out. Again, that's another mistake or something I'd change or do differently at the end of the video. But I got caught out and made a mistake, miscalculated a few things, and it didn't, no big deal. I just had to leave the country once more than I really actually wanted to. More on that later. So, you made the decision, you decided to retire. You've told your boss, you've told the family, things are starting to fall into place. What do you do now? What are you doing with your house? So again, with me, I had a unit in Como in Perth, Western Australia. Beautiful unit. Oh, it was a nice unit. I wouldn't say beautiful, but it was a nice unit. Great location. But at first, I wanted to go through the process of renting it. In the back of my mind, I always played the safe card. I said, well, if it doesn't work, I'll come back. If it doesn't work, I'll come back. I've got my unit, etc., etc., etc. So I got a real estate agent in, and we went through the whole process of going through the rentals and, all the paperwork we have to do, blah, 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 just speaking about it. Nothing was ever written down, etc. And then it came to the cost of how much it was going to cost me. And with the price I was going to get for rent in Perth, which was unbelievably a lot. It was a lot more than I was expecting I was going to get for rental, such as the price of Australia. With that was fine. So I already planned in my head, well, okay, I've got that. I've got mortgages, I've got strata fees, I've got your real estate agent are going to take fees out, etc., etc. I'm going to be left out with this amount each month left over. No worries, we'll go about renting it. Then the real estate agent started discussing all the other government fees and the insurances and the this and the that and this and that. So look, I forget the exact figures now, but it went something from, after all my expenses, I was going to be able to bank about $800 a month, to after all my expenses, I was still going to owe about $300 to $400 a month. And it just, I'm not moving, I wasn't going to move to Thailand or move overseas and have a debt in Australia. That's not what I wanted to do. So I made the decision to sell it. Went onto the internet, looked up some real estate agents, sent emails out to 5 of them. One guy responded. So I thought, okay, no worries. I'll just try them again. So I sent out the other 4 that did not reply, didn't respond. I sent them another email again. Second time, They didn't reply. So 4 agents did not even reply to me saying I was selling my unit. This one guy, a young lad, he actually, in that process, he sent me a second email saying, hey, just catching up again, you know, I'd love to come around and have a look at your property. I'd love to discuss a few things, blah, 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 blah. So then I made the decision, this is the guy I need to go with. Came around, and very long story short, but he had everything. He was young, well presented, enthusiastic. He got me 100,000 Australian dollars more than what I was happy to settle for. I'm not going to go into the figures, but I said to him, I'd like this, I'd settle for this, I really want this. He got me 100,000 Aussie dollars more than that because of his enthusiasm. So whether you're renting or whether you want to rent or whether you want to sell, do your research, because the dollar value is hugely different to someone who really wants to look after your property compared to someone who doesn't, or someone who really wants to sell it and will put effort into selling it compared to someone else who's just got another listing. So anyway, I chose to sell my unit. I made arrangements for my brother to buy my car, which worked out really, really well. I went up and picked him up on the way to the airport on my last day in Australia. Went and picked him up, we drove out to the airport, and then that was it. The car was his. We'd organised the money and everything, transfer, and I jumped on a plane and came to Thailand. Everything else I sold, except for a suitcase full of clothes and a guitar. I sold everything. And again, I did the research. There's a lot of research on YouTube about what to bring and not what to bring. But through my experience, unless you've got something really valuable, really personal to you, I've got an acoustic guitar here that's worth not much at all. It's not a brand guitar, but it was my father's guitar. So that's one thing I wanted to bring. Apart from that, I would say just sell everything. Sell everything. Down the track, we'll go through a video of the property that I've bought in Isan. It's a house, and the furniture and the price of things in Thailand is unbelievably cheap. It is a lot cheaper to buy here than to bring things over. Unless you've got some really, really sentimental value towards it, sell it. You know, furniture, everything, plates, knives, forks, whatever you've got, whatever it is, just sell. You can always buy it here. Always buy it here, and it'd be a lot cheaper. Medicines was another thing that I wanted to see. I'm a diabetic, overweight, obviously high blood pressure. So I went and saw my doctor, who was unbelievably good, and she wrote me about a whole bunch of scripts. I went to the local chemist that I've been using for the last couple of years, and I explained the story to them and said that I'm moving to Thailand. Can I have all of these at once? And at first they were reluctant, so I got in touch with my doctor. My doctor emailed them with a letter saying that, yes, Graham is moving overseas and I give him permission to take all these with him. So I walked away with a whole bag of tablets. Like, it's... in a way, it's bad because I take so many tablets. Every time I walk, I rattle. But anyway, you know, get your medicines sorted out and that before. Again, they do have things here. You've got most medicines here, but little things like Ozempic is very, very expensive in Thailand. In Australia, it's subsidised by the government. In Thailand, it's not. So little things can be more expensive. On a whole, things are a lot cheaper here. But just look into your medicines. And it's one thing that I didn't think of until the 11th hour, was what medicines do I need to take. I was unsure about what I could or could not get in Thailand. So medicines are probably something you really want to have a look at. So the day has arrived and it's time to go. You've made up your mind what you want to do with your property. You've got your car sorted. You've sold all your furniture. You've blah, 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 blah. I took a whole lot of stuff down to Good Sammy's, the local Good Sammy's, just to make sure that when I left. So when you jump on your flight, I love a direct flight, so I fly Thai Airways. Love them. Cannot fault Thai Airways at all. They are direct from Perth to Bangkok, 7 or 7.5 hour flight, something like that. But they get me from there to here. There are cheaper alternatives. You can go through Singapore, have stopovers. You can go through KL. There's plenty of places that fly from Australia to Thailand. Depends on what you want to do and the flight you want. I want a direct flight, so I flew Thai Airways, not for the first time, and certainly not for the last. When I first got here, I after previous meetings, what I suggest people do is just book into a hotel for a couple of nights. So by now, hopefully it's safe to assume that you've been over here numerous times, you've done your research, you figure out where you want it to stay. Do you want to stay in, Bangkok, Phuket, Pattaya, Hua Hin? Do you want to go remote? Have you met a lady? Do you want to go and live near her village? Where do you want to stay? Initially, wherever that is, whether it's in Bangkok or a coastal area or somewhere with your Thai lady. Now, if she's got a house or somewhere to stay, this is irrelevant. But if not, I suggest go somewhere and book into a hotel for about a week. 5 days start off with maybe. That gives you time. It takes the pressure off without absolutely rushing around trying to find somewhere to stay, permanent accommodation, be it in a house or a unit or a condo or whatever. Do you want it on the beach? Do you want it near the hills? Do you want it up in Chiang Mai, Hua Hin? Like I said, there are so many things to consider. If you've done your homework and you've been here previously and you've looked at places, sweet, you will have a very, very good idea. You may have even have something prearranged. If you come here frequently and you like a place, I'd suggest maybe on your visit before your permanent move, hook yourself up with a real estate agent and get a feel for them and figure out what you want. I had a Thai partner by this stage, so we moved into her place in Bangkok. It was a very, very small one-room apartment. She used to cook on the balcony. It was very small, but it was very, very cheap, especially when she was by herself. So that was all well and good, but straight away I felt really constricted. So then we started looking at condos. I had this spray and wave at that stage of the game. I didn't know anything about Isan, didn't know about Yasathon. My thoughts were that I wasn't never interested in Pattaya or Phuket. My thought was somewhere like Rayong or Hua Hin, coastal would be nice, etc., etc. But I wanted to give Bangkok a try first. I'd visited Bangkok, but I'd never lived in Bangkok. So whilst we were staying at my partner's place, we went out and we were starting to look at places in Bangkok, condos in Bangkok. We knew the area, which was Lat Plau, so it's not near any girl bars or anything like that. It's a touristy area to an extent, but there's a lot of street food, a lot of activity, those sorts of things. Not so much girly bars, but, stuff that suited our age and our sort of lifestyle. So we went there, had a look at quite a few condos. Some of them you get a parking space included, some of them you don't. If you've got a scooter or a car, some places you have to pay for that, an extra 2 or 3, 5,000 baht a month or whatever. But anyway, you start negotiating and you start talking, you know what you want, you know what your budget is, and you know what you're prepared to do. This comes to one mistake that I made, and my advice would be not to do the same thing, to do something a little bit different. So we had a look at quite a few condos and finally come across one that we liked. So we was in this condo building, huge condo building, had a beautiful pool up top, gym, all those sorts of things. It was close to shops, street food right out the front door. It ticked a lot of boxes. We said, yep, we'll go with that unit there. Met up with the agent and the owner, the lady that owned the condo, and we thought we'd signed all the paperwork and paid a deposit, 16,000 part deposit, and then it became very, very hard to meet with her to get the key to move in. So now this is a mistake. So this is mistake number one when it comes to renting in Bangkok. So after a few weeks, we just said, right, we're not dealing with you anymore. We found another unit in the same building for the same price. And we signed that and got that all sorted and everything. And that, no problems at all. We had the keys and everything to move in. The mistake we made with that one is I signed a 12-month lease. At the time, I swore black and blue, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. 12 months gives you a little bit cheaper on a monthly rate, etc., etc. As experience shows, the more I sort of was in Thailand, living in Thailand as opposed to holidaying in Thailand, that apartment wasn't what I wanted. The area was good. The apartment was quite small for myself and my partner. And then all of a sudden, and we'll show this in another video, but we come up to Yasathon to meet my parents, my partner's parents and family, and as well as that to pick up her ute that she had, her Ford Ranger ute that was hers, that we were driving back down to Bangkok. While we're up here, I fell in love with the place. Now, I will say, absolutely honestly, my partner Sarah did not have any influence in me wanting to move to her area. We're about 10 or 15 minutes away from her family where we are now. She never mentioned it. She always had in her head that I'd spoken about Rayong or Hua Hin, etc. So it was not because her family are here and I was forced into it or pushed into it or persuaded into it. Not like that at all. I started to hang around this town for those, 5 days, which turned into 12, because I just really love the place. I love the fact that we can jump in the car or our motorbike and just go into town. Everything's here. Hospitals, everything's here. The closest airport's an hour away. When I was in Perth, the closest airport was 50 minutes away. So it's the same thing. Everything's here. There's a couple of shops, there's hospitals, there's immigration, there's everything that you want was here. So I came to Thailand in October, signed the unit in November for 12 months. I found myself in Yasathon in January, putting an offer on a property that I just fell in love with, which was this house. So there are two things I would recommend for people just to be wary of when you sign the contract and the length of time you sign the contract for. Personally, I'd go for 6 months. And the reason I like a bit of time is because you get the feel of the place. I wanted to try Bangkok for a while to make sure that I didn't want to live in Bangkok. After 2 months, I realised that, or 1 month, I realised that. But signing a 12-month lease, so now we're living in Yasathon, but we're still paying for a lease in Bangkok because we've signed the contract. Our fault, not the owner's fault of the apartment in Bangkok. But so just be aware that when you're moving somewhere, things change, plans change, your thoughts change. What you think is ideal could change. What we got here in Yasathon for 2 million baht, if this was in Hua Hin, it'd be 4 million baht. So, there's a lot of things to consider. Anyway, we'll wrap this video up here now. But that's just a touch of the iceberg about some of the processes the decisions I made with coming to Bangkok or coming to Thailand, retiring and coming to Thailand. There's a lot more still to come. All these we'll make videos as we go, not as we go along because we're here, but I'll start putting together videos about the process. So the process will continue from video to video to video to video about, getting the visas. We'll go through the processes of that. And again, mistakes I made with that. These ones were costly, believe it or not, but mistakes we made about buying a property, about, renovating the property and things like that. Anyway, we'll leave you there. Just remember, you only live once. Enjoy.